Somewhere in Africa, hundreds of thousands of years ago, a woman gives birth. Around her, the world is alive. Predators, hunger, endless miles to walk. She looks down at her newborn. It can't crawl. It can't stand. It can't even hold up its own head. Every other mother in nature would call this a death sentence. But somehow, this helpless baby would grow into the species that conquered the entire planet. How? The answer begins with what might be evolution's greatest gamble, because evolution has one rule. If something doesn't help you survive, it disappears. Weak animals disappear. Slow animals disappear. Bad designs disappear. So why didn't human babies? To understand that, you have to compare us with almost every other animal on Earth. A baby horse is standing within hours. A baby giraffe has to. If it stays on the ground, it's lunch. Baby sea turtles hatch alone. They've never seen the ocean before. Yet somehow, thousands of tiny turtles all race toward it. Baby monkeys cling to their mothers almost immediately. Baby ducks swim. Baby deer run. Even baby predators can bite, crawl, or follow. Nature doesn't waste time, because every second matters. Then, there's us. A human baby can't even roll over. For months, it can't feed itself. It can't escape danger. It can't survive a single day alone. Not because it's weak, because it's unfinished. That shouldn't be possible. Evolution doesn't build unfinished animals. Or does it? Scientists have spent decades trying to answer that question, and most people think they already know the answer. Big brains. You've probably heard it before. Humans became smarter. Our heads became larger. Babies became harder to deliver. Case closed. Except that explanation leaves out the strangest part, because evolution always has options. If babies were becoming too big, why not simply make mothers' hips wider, or make pregnancy last longer, or make babies slightly smaller? Evolution has solved much harder problems than this. So why didn't it? Instead, it chose something that sounds almost impossible. It made humans give birth before development was finished. Think about that. Compared to other mammals, a human newborn is astonishingly underdeveloped. Its brain is only around a quarter of its adult size. It can't regulate its own body very well. It depends on someone else for almost everything. It's almost as if part of human pregnancy happens outside the womb. That sounds ridiculous, until you realize many scientists have argued something surprisingly similar. Not that human babies are literally premature, but that they're born at the earliest point where birth is still possible, as if evolution reached a deadline and had no choice. But what deadline? This is where the story becomes much stranger. Millions of years before the first cities, before language, before farming, our ancestors made one decision that changed everything. They stood up. Walking on two legs transformed human life. Our hands became free. We could carry food, carry tools, carry children. But walking upright came with a hidden cost. Our pelvis became narrower, not overnight, over millions of years, step by step, generation by generation. A body built for efficient walking was no longer a body built for easy childbirth. Then evolution made an even riskier decision. Our brains kept growing. Every generation became a little smarter, a little more curious, a little better at solving problems, which meant every generation also produced babies with larger heads. Now, evolution had created an impossible puzzle, a narrower exit, and a larger passenger. Something had to give. Most species never face this problem. A foal's head fits, a puppy's head fits, a kitten's head fits. Human babies barely do, even today. Human childbirth is among the most difficult in the animal kingdom. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Evolution never actually solved the problem. It escaped it. Instead of making babies fit perfectly, it sent them out early, before their brains had finished growing, before their bodies had finished developing, before they were ready, which sounds like a terrible compromise. Because now you've traded one problem for another. Yes, the baby can be born, but now it can't survive on its own. It needs constant protection, constant warmth, constant feeding, for months. Actually, for years. That seems like the worst evolutionary trait in history, unless that helplessness was never the real problem. Maybe it was preparing humans for something much bigger. Imagine trying to raise a child that helpless, alone. You couldn't. One person would have to find food. Another would have to protect the camp. Someone had to watch the baby. Suddenly, survival wasn't about the strongest individual anymore. It was about the strongest group. Without realizing it, our babies were forcing us to cooperate. That changed everything. Other animals certainly care for their young, but eventually, the young leave. Human children don't. Not for weeks, not for months, for years. Childhood became longer than almost any other mammal, which meant knowledge could become deeper. Parents weren't just keeping children alive anymore. They were teaching them how to make fire, how to recognize dangerous plants, how to track animals, how to survive. And every generation inherited not just genes, but information. That's an enormous advantage, because evolution normally has to wait thousands of generations to improve a species. Humans found a shortcut: learning. A child could become smarter than its parents. Without evolving at all, knowledge could accumulate, generation after generation, until one person discovered something, another improved it, and someone else perfected it. That's how civilizations begin. But even that wasn't enough, because another mystery appears. If raising children takes so many years, why do humans often live decades after they stop having children? Most animals don't. From an evolutionary perspective, that seems wasteful. Unless older humans weren't finished contributing. Grandparents could gather food, watch children, pass down experience, tell stories, teach survival, protect knowledge that couldn't be written down. Suddenly, living longer became an advantage. Not because older people had more children, but because they helped other children survive. One helpless baby had quietly reshaped the entire family, then the tribe, then humanity itself. Now think back to that prehistoric mother. She wasn't just carrying a child. She was carrying years of responsibility, years of teaching, years of protection. No other strategy would have worked, because the most important part of a human isn't finished at birth. It's the brain. A newborn's brain keeps building itself long after entering the world. Every conversation, every mistake, every story, every new experience changes it. In a way, human childhood is the longest classroom in nature, and that's exactly what evolution was buying. Not a stronger baby, a more adaptable adult. A lion is born knowing almost everything it needs. A human is born knowing almost nothing. That sounds like a weakness. Until the environment changes. When forests disappear, humans adapt. When temperatures change, humans adapt. When prey disappears, humans invent. When problems appear, humans teach the next generation how to solve them. The less instinct controlled us, the more learning could. That flexibility became our greatest weapon. Not claws, not speed, not strength. Learning. And learning requires time. Time requires childhood. Childhood requires helplessness. Suddenly, the entire puzzle fits together. The baby that couldn't crawl eventually learned to build shelters. The baby that couldn't feed itself learned to grow crops. The baby that couldn't even hold up its own head eventually looked up at the stars, built telescopes, walked on the moon. It all traces back to a newborn that seemed too weak to survive. Maybe evolution never made a mistake. Maybe it made the biggest investment in history. It sacrificed independence at birth to create unlimited potential later, which means the most helpless baby on Earth was never evolution's greatest failure. It was its boldest gamble. And judging by what humans eventually became, it might also be its greatest success. Thank you for watching Vinta.